and you will go through that door. You will go through that door. You will blast through that door. But you will do it in such a way that they're not going to see it coming, and then a way that we're going to say, oh my gosh, you are absolutely right.
Welcome to Cards and Constellations with Bonnie Morris and Dawn Rumor Rivera from Sonoran Mystic Tarot. Here, we blend astrology and tarot to guide you through the twists and turns for the week ahead. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share. Let's dive into your cosmic journey together.
We start with the moon. This is the week of August 4th through the 10th. The moon this week on the 9th is full at 16 degrees of Aquarius. Now we need to back this up and find the new moon in Aquarius, which occurred February 9th of 2024 at 20 degrees. Then on November 8th of 2024, we had the first quarter moon where you did all the work for this project. And that occurred at 17 degrees of Aquarius. Now we're at the full moon where you can see everything. And if there's anything that needs to be changed or tweaked, now is the time to do it. And then pivot, turn away, and wait for the last quarter, which occurs on May 9th of 2026 at 19 degrees of Aquarius. And that's when we celebrate the success, turn away, and allow the project to move on its own. Next, we want to look at the void, of course. This begins August 5th at 8:28 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And it starts at 29 degrees of Sagittarius. And then at 10:04 a.m., it enters Capricorn and the void ends. Wow, 2-hour void. That's normal. Next, we go to August 26th at 10:59 a.m. The void, of course, begins at 12 degrees of Capricorn. This continues until August 7th at 6:18 p.m. when it enters the sign of Aquarius. On August 9th at 54 minutes past midnight, the void, of course, begins at 16 degrees of Aquarius. Later that day, at 11:50 p.m., the void ends as the moon goes into Pisces. Now, on the last day of this week, August 10th, no, let's change that to the last few minutes of the last day of this week. At 11:54 p.m. on August 10th, at 13 degrees of Pisces, we start a void, of course. This lasts for 2 days. This does not stop until August 12th at 3:33 a.m.
Thank you, Ms. Bonnie, for that general understanding of astrology for the week. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you tarot real quick, and then Ms. Bonnie will come back and finalize things with her astrology for your specific sign. So let's get to it. Well, hello, Scorpio. This is the tarot for the week. Then when I am done, Miss Bonnie will give you the specific astrology for Scorpio. And then I'll get back with you and we'll compare notes on the astrology and tarot and see how they align. Let's start, though, with the tarot for you for the week, Scorpio. First card out, Scorpio, 2 of Pentacles. 2 of coins in this deck with his pentacles. This is a Ciro Marchetti deck. I love Ciro Marchetti's deck. And usually the deck I usually have is also Ciro's, but this is a different deck. I'm just kind of being playful this week, trying something different. But I used to use the deck a lot and still do from time to time. So let's get to it. Again, there's that 2 of coins. 2 of coins, choices. And this is interesting because this is about abundance. This is about life and quality of life. So when I see this card come out, this kind of reminds me that you are going to be drawn in 2 ways. You're going to be drawn this week between 2 different energies, okay? And neither is good nor bad. That's not that situation. It's not that kind of energy. This is more about something coming more core to us, okay? Now, Scorpio, we are emotional beings. We know that. You know that. I'm not telling you something you don't know. We run deep. We run very deep. And one thing you don't do is you don't tick off a scorpion, because we may not take care of business now, but you know we will get to business down the road. So we don't forget. However, a lot of people mistake our very deep emotional responses, our very deep emotional level for maybe not caring. Maybe one of those things of not understanding or not being involved or standoffish, stuck up, whatever. They truly misunderstand. And I will tell you that as a Scorpion, I know this myself. We run deep, and we run deep for many reasons, but most importantly, because we process. The one thing a Scorpion does not do, remember, we have venom in our stinger, and we know when to judiciously offer the venom. But we also know we need to process everything because we don't make quick, irrational decisions, generally speaking. And so this week is about a week of decision making, understanding, keeping emotions in check, making sure that we're following with reason as well as emotion. Find a balance. There are times where the emotion should come through, but that's after we've reasoned through the facts and said, you know what, we deserve to be ticked. We deserve to be mad. And then we deserve to get even if that's the case. Did I say that? Of course I wouldn't say that. No, I did. Anyway, so this is that week. This is the week where you're going to be running through the process and saying, you know what, I'm mad. I'm mad and I'm disturbed. But again, I didn't let somebody know. And instead, I'm going to process it. And once I process it, I'll get to it. And the situation will again rise its head. And then I'll be able to go at it at that point because, again, I will have had the time to effectively put together my conversation, my thought process, and my response. So that's what I'm getting for you this week. That's the key to this reading. What I'm getting for you is Palace of Cups. Okay. So this is an emotional situation that's going to be based in, again, happiness and rooted in happiness and emotions. So this is about emotions. Okay. And that's what the Palace of Cups is. It's living in your feelings, living in your feelings. So this something's going to happen this week, or something maybe happened just at the end of last week that's carrying into this week, and you are processing it, and you're saying, how do I handle it? What is a reasonable and prudent way to handle this? What is a reasonable and prudent response to the situation? Somebody did something. That's what's happening here. Somebody did something, and the question is, what do we do about it? Okay, that's the key to this. Okay, now we have that King of Coins. The King of Coins makes sense because the King of Coins is that prudence. Again, it's that the coins is about abundance and happiness and joy and all those things, right? Where swords is about thoughts and emotion, thoughts and those kind of things, and is more about reasoning and about objectivity. Cups are subjectivity and emotions. And then you have the wands, which is work. And what makes it work? What makes it work? What makes it work? But the coins brings it all together. And so it's this holistic individual, this holistic person. And so you're looking at the emotions, the physical, the emotional, all those things. You're looking at the reasonable, the logical, blah, blah, blah. And so the king is here and he's like, you know what? Be the emperor, be the king in that sense, not the king, not the emperor, but be the king and be the king of everything. So again, take it all in, figure out how you can maneuver forward, and then do so. Again, do so to keep the emotions in check. So this week, you're going to keep the emotions in check. You're going to process whatever it is that happened and slighted you in some way, and you will make the right determination. That says, look, this is all in Pentacles. This is all about emotions, and this is all about reasonable responses. So you're going to process through it. You're going to figure out a way to move forward through this. And then you're going to take that step. By the end of the week, you'll know what to do and you're going to do it. And don't be surprised, again, if this was an offending situation, it pops itself back up, opening up the opportunity for you to discuss, and you will go through that door. You will go through that door. You will blast through that door. But you will do it in such a way that they're not going to see it coming, and then a way that we're going to say, oh my gosh, you are absolutely right. You're going to win your argument. You're going to win the situation. You're going to win the day because they have no recourse. Because, again, you did what you always do. You processed it down deep. You didn't show an emotion. And then when you got them, you're like, it's coming from logic. We both know it also comes from emotion, but we don't show that part of it. And that's the way we do it, Scorpio, isn't it? So this week, again, process. This week, use that balance between emotion and reason. the logic and responsibility, as well as the emotional wants and needs and desires. Find that happy medium and you will do it. You will get there. And I like that. And this is probably going to deal with, again, home and hearth as much as anything else. But this is telling with the Lover's card here, it's more about, again, showing that in the end, the family is not disturbed. The family won't be, this is not going to hurt the family in any way. Okay. This is going to be, and again, probably an existential situation, or even if it is a family situation, again, the family is going to be bonded together even more because of this. So this week, Scorpio, let's make sure we stay strong, determined, use reason and logic, make sure we're using objectivity, and then sprinkle a little subjectivity, but objectivity is key. And ultimately, you will come with the right way to respond and the right way to move forward with whatever this is. Again, this has been a week where at the end of last week or the beginning of this week, you were slighted in some way, and you really wanted to fire back. And you wanted to strike them with your venom, but you didn't because you're Scorpion. And so you will get it done this week in a way to do it, so where you can process it and not let it eat you alive. And more importantly, when it happens again, and it will, you will be able to respond in such a way that it will not happen again after that, because they realize, damn, I forgot I'm with the Scorpion. I forgot I'm messing with the Scorpion. Let's see what Miss Bonnie has to say in the astrology side and see if it lines up with this. And if not, well, who knows? I'll get back with you after Miss Bonnie's over and we'll kind of compare notes. All right, here we go. Miss Bonnie, let them have it. What does astrology say for Scorpios? And remember, Miss Bonnie, I'm a Scorpion, so be gentle. Not necessarily. I can handle it.
All right, Scorpio, ruled by both Mars and Pluto. That's scary. Those two together can cause war. Pluto is out in a tug of war beginning of the week with Mercury. So something's going to have to change with the communication and technology. There, we also still have the kite headed towards Saturn, with the tail being in Mars. So you have the planet of restriction and commitment playing tug of war with your planet of action. We see for the first time in a very long time a grand cross. Not precisely, it's off by a couple degrees, so we really can't call it that yet, but it's pretty much what it looks like when you're looking at a chart. You've got the opposition between Mars and Saturn crossing with the opposition between Venus and the Moon. Right in the middle of that, you have the opposition between Mercury and Pluto. The Moon is in a square with Neptune, and Neptune is conjunct with Saturn. So whatever you hear about Saturn, you're going to hear it about Neptune, just with a different definition. The aspect between the Moon and Neptune can make emotional boundaries very blurry, so be careful. You can be deeply sensitive, yet still yearn for the spiritual meaning or a connection. They should struggle to clearly distinguish your emotions from those of others. Again, I say be careful. Midweek, we see Jupiter go opposite of the Moon. So we have the planet of all your feelings playing tug of war with the planet of growth and expansion and good fortune. At the end of the week on Friday, we finally see those two kites again, but there's a difference. The secondary kite is going in the other direction. And we're feeling pulled in different directions. This kite is leading towards Mercury and dragging Pluto and the Moon on its tail. Still heading towards Saturn in the midst of all that, 4 planets have formed a mystic rectangle. 2 planets on each side of the kite. They're fairly harmonious. There is the exception, though. You have oppositions at the corners. So this one has an opposition between Saturn and Mars and Mercury and Pluto. On Saturday, we have a full moon. So we have the sun facing the moon. And that's a beautiful dance between the self and your emotions. Sometimes harmonious, sometimes challenging. This highlights the contrast. especially in close relationships. And the end of the week on Sunday, we still have both kites and the mystic rectangle. They've only moved a couple degrees and they're not precise, but the energy is still the same. The difference that I notice is that Jupiter is in a trine with the moon. This aspect brings joy, optimism, emotional wisdom, and there's warm hopefulness and open-heartedness. You will attract goodwill and tend to succeed during this aspect.
Well, apparently there is a little bit of overlap there with the astrology and tarot. Miss Bonnie talked about that distinction between emotion and responsibility, that the distinction about how letting our emotions run with it and how that can be then detrimental to us in that regard. So yeah, Scorpio, there is a whole lot there that aligned with the astrological side. And man, sometimes ain't it mad? Because we'd like to actually have our independence, but it's funny how the stars do tend to have an impact on us, don't they? But ultimately at the end, Scorpio, between you and me, we know it's all about us. It's all about us and what we ultimately do. Ain't no matter what the stars do. The stars only give us a little input. We ultimately make that decision, don't we, Scorpio? With that said, love, light, and blessings from Miss Bonnie, her family, me, and my family, to you and to yours. Please, before you go, hit that subscribe button and help me grow my channel by sharing this message out. I would appreciate it. If you are on Sonoran Mystic Tarot, which means you are on my channel, I would appreciate, again, hitting that subscribe, but then jumping over to Your Love Goddess. That's Miss Bonnie's channel, and subscribe over there. If you are already over there and you have not yet subscribed to Sonoran Mystic Tarot, then pop on over and subscribe to my channel, please. Again, Sonoran Mystic Tarot. And additionally, share them out. Share this message out so people can get the word. I would truly appreciate it. Miss Bonnie would appreciate it. And if I can ask one more quick favor, go to Cards and Constellations and do the same. This is the one channel where Bonnie and I work together on. We are individual on the other two. This is the combined channel. With that said, I'm going to let you go. Again, love, light, and blessings. Have an amazing week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.